Hi, my name is Katie Marie. Let's start this meeting with the third step prayer. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Amen. So this is the Time Lifestyle Management System, Step 4, taken from the Big Book and 12 and 12 of Alcoholics Anonymous. Step 4 says we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. When you think of an inventory, you think of what you have in stock. When you open up a store to sell goods, you have an inventory of goods. Those same goods make up who you are. Have you ever had someone come up to you and ask you what your favorite food is? With this in mind, have you ever walked into a convenience store and asked the clerk, do you have any mustard? Would it be awkward for me to ask you what scares you? What makes you angry? What makes you happy? Some of us can answer without hesitation and even still won't really give a true answer. Bye. Love you too. We were all born with instincts necessary for our existence and survival, but these instincts often far exceed their proper function. Let's refer back to step 1, some things we already know about ourselves. 1, we may be mentally unstable. 2, we may be tangled up in legal troubles. 3, do we have addictive tendencies? If we didn't exert ourselves to be financially or emotionally secure, made no effort to harvest food or construct shelter, there would be no survival. But how frequently we see a frightened individual determined to depend completely upon a stranger, to depend completely upon a stronger person for guidance and protection. As a child or a person with disabilities, this is classified as a dependent. They must depend on someone else to survive. When classified as codependent, it becomes more than survival. When codependent on somebody, the person never grows up. When the stronger person either flees or dies, the weaker person is left alone and afraid. This is an extreme case, but it does happen. Okay? And even in varying degrees, this happens. So what happens when we are alone and afraid? When the people we depend on at one time are no longer there to lean on. Furthermore, suppose you've used up all of your resources in the attempt to grab all you can out of life in one day. You burned all your You've burned all of your bridges and nobody wants to be bothered with you. Have you ever heard of the saying, they messed it up for the rest of us? We often hear this as it relates to government assistance. The rules change because of the abuse caused by previous recipients. This is the cycle that is hard to break, but it can be broken. The cycle starts with some type of help extended to a person or group of persons, and the resources are abused or all used up far too quickly. This resource soon becomes dried up with no more reserve. The person becomes upset and swears that everybody has done him wrong. We even prove this point as the cycle starts up again. We use more and more of what anybody and anything has to give us. We use more of our fair share because we believe it is owed to us. We burn even more bridges, and even more people want nothing to do with us. Isn't that the truth? So we think that the root of our troubles is our selfishness and self-centeredness. This, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows, sometimes without knowing it, and then retaliate. Funny thing is, we sometimes retaliate without even knowing it. Our selfishness and self-centeredness drives us blindly. The decisions we've made here and now or in the past have later or will later place us in a position to be hurt. If mentally unstable, you may call somebody a name that they don't like. Later, they call you a name that you don't like, and it hurts your feelings. If you have legal troubles such as a divorce, you wonder why your spouse is putting you in a very difficult position, only it was you who did the cheating. If compulsive or addicted, you find yourself unable to get help from your parents to pay your rent. They want you committed instead. In this step, you have been given the opportunity to write what I like to call your grudge list. Yes, this is a list of all the people, places, and things that came into your life as far back as you can remember. And next to their name, state exactly the situation or the event that took place. Make this list and come back next week to take step 5. I'll make my list too and explain how step 5 is taken. For an example, so y'all have something to look for when you're taking this step during this next week. On a piece of paper, what you would write in the first column, you have 3 columns. Leave the last column blank until next week. The first column, you're going to write the person, place, or thing that you have a resentment with, or it's going to be on your grudge list, somebody you have a grudge against. So you might say your boss. So you put your boss in the first side. You just say, my boss. In the second row, column, next to it, you're going to tell me, what did your boss do? And that's all I want to know. Just tell me what your boss did. What did your boss do to you? And it doesn't matter what other people think, what really happened. Tell me what you think happened. What you felt, what happened when, as far as you're concerned. My boss, she fired me. Okay? You can elaborate if you want, but that's the basics of it. You say your boss, she fired me. Next week, when you come back with your list, you might have 20 people, 20 places, whatever. I don't care if you have 100 people that you have a grudge against. That last column we're going to go over next week with step 5. Remember, all we are doing is making a list. Step 4 is the first step in creating your inventory. Step 5 is the second step in making your inventory. Okay, so thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Remember to visit us. That's Time Lifestyle Management System at tlmsinc.org. I'm going to tell you why. If you go to tlmsinc.org, you'll be able to shop. You can do some shopping if you have some gifts you want to give to somebody, or you just want to cheer somebody up. And then when you do make a purchase, all the proceeds go toward our activities that we're doing for the men, women, and children that are homeless, or dealing with certain kind of afflictions, especially children they have no control over. So we try and make sure that we go out and do welfare checks. So we go out and we take vital signs. We schedule doctor appointments if we have to. We do all that. We bring food if we can. We're trying to get food into the site to these people, and I'm talking about homemade food meals that are already cooked. Some people don't have an oven and stove and microwave and all that stuff. So it only makes sense that we bring the food to them that's already cooked. Plus we make sure they have their water and clothes, certain items that you would need, toothbrush, toothpaste, all that stuff that somebody might need if they're living on the street. And sometimes, y'all, that's all we can do. If that's all I can do is give them what they need while they're in the situation they're in, maybe somebody else will step up and provide housing. I don't provide housing, but I can make the situation a little more comfortable and a little more manageable as far as health is concerned. Because I was homeless too, and I managed to stay very healthy. Okay, so remember that when you shop at the Gift Pocket Thrift Shop, you are helping our cause and providing welfare checks for many men, women, and children. And I appreciate you, and I also appreciate any donations you make. Remember, the donation minimum might be $5, but if you get 4 of your friends together and contribute $1, that's $5 between 5 people. That's $1 between 5 people. That's a $5 donation. And that $5 goes a long way. Okay? And thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you next week for step 5. Thank you and have a great week.